Okay, Ann Weisgerber is going to open the show. She's from the city of Orange, a 2017 Frost Place Scholar, 2017 Frost Place Scholar, 2014 Reynolds Fellow, and received first prize for features writing from the Society of Professional Journalists. She's assistant series editor for Woodleaf's Top 50, with work in Diagram, 3 AM Magazine, and the Alaska Star. And you can follow her at Twitter at AE Weisgerber. And now you'll hear her read. Ann.
Thank you so much, Paul. It's so good to be here. I'm just going to read one story tonight. I've had terrific luck with reading drafts at FBomb that then get picked up at fantastic journals. So I'm going to read something that I haven't read before, and I feel like it's pretty close to baked. So the title.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
I was just going to say that it's a draft, but I feel like it's pretty close to done. The title of the story is, Oh. I shuffle around, waiting for square eggs to drop on 2 metal trays. I am still sad about O'Hara. Can't stop rehashing his crazy stories. I thought we'd have lasted longer. When we lined up in our sleeping cot, O'Hara never bored of rehashing point A to point B. He'd say, when you were a baby, Robots United laws were in place for like 8 minutes before loopholes got exploited. AI voting rights led to national parks being desapped of Homo sapiens, which led to soft bods wearing miracle clothes. Slow down and start again, oh. He'd snap, snap, snap. Look at you in your heat-resistant getup. Stretch your arm and admire the luster. Do you understand it's made from the magnetite beaches of Fire Island, the garnet beaches of Cape Nome, and the olivine beaches of Hawaii? Hawaii! O'Hara cracked how eminent domain finally hit the 1% hard. I'd ask him what the hell he was talking about. He'd say talking beats crying. He'd say, while the best human minds could imagine nuclear cruisers of 80 passengers, including a crew of 35, it was hardos that provided the simplest and most effective solution. The key, O'Hara made a downward triangle with his pointing fingers, was packaging the meat. I'd wonder how far along the reversal had gotten to get him going. O'Hara said, AI solved pollution way back when. Well, not even he knew what the GATE initiative stood for. Gamma something, something, something. But it began a machine age that sorted dust from sand, silica from granite, feldspar from mica, calcium carbonate from gemstones, remnants of mollusks from residues of plastics. The trade-off? O'Hara said, forget that AI exploits the deepest soft body secrets like those old postcard beaches. Forget it's sifting through every line of your DNA. I'd let O'Hara wonder why lab facts stayed entrenched in the desert rather than transport to Mars. It seemed, he said, they followed Asimov's rules. They would do everything possible to get soft bods out of danger and safely ensconced on Mars, but then, of course, assure their own eternal well-being through orderly systems. That was a theory. But what about staving off that white dwarf? About then, O'Hara would start banging his head. Right now, in lab facts situated near the Mojave Skidoo zone, the average nocturnal temperature stayed above 47 degrees Celsius. O'Hara said, go ahead and fantasize all you want. You're delusional to think it's a human place anymore. Relentless solar energy added to the AI's packet switch tweaks cranked production to 27-hour days. He described vast pearlized factories in the Mojave, where Hardos planned, welded, balanced, tested, and assembled new ships and shuttles, new rovers and pods, new tunnelers with thrashing diamond mole ends, environments that might keep future soft pod transports from deteriorating inside Look's togs. It was too late for us. O'Hara, man. It wasn't just stories of gemstone beaches that upended my picture of life on Earth. O said, Hardos cracked the bedrock of chemistry, producing perfect long-haul fabrics, lightweight, heat-resistant, membranous to permit gas and liquid exchange without impractical mid-century mod bags, tanks, and tubes. He said, it was like the lace of a newt, of a geode, of a Thanksgiving turkey netted and sealed in brine. It was supposed to work. I ate my eggs.
Thank you, Ann.
Thanks, everyone.
Who goes next?
David Gallup has published extremely short fiction in the collections Laugh Track and My Date with Neanderthal Woman, Young Short Story Collection Prize, extremely long fiction and novels, Flesh, Turning Japanese, and How to Cope with Suburban Stress. Kirkus Best Books of 2006, a lot in between. His latest is Brevity, which I'm reading, a flash fiction handbook from Columbia University Press. Day job is professor of English and creative writing program director at Montclair State University. He's also the editor-in-chief of Vestal Review. David.
Thank you. I'm just happy to be here. I've read a bunch of times before. This one is a little different. I hope it doesn't bother anyone's sensibilities. It is called Correction. First time doing this? Do I look as if I come here often? Just making conversation. Sorry, I tend to be judgmental. Relax, baby. Take off that sweater, or I'll take it off for you. Thank you, that feels good. Want me to massage your shoulders or further down? Not further, farther. I can't stop thinking about what you're saying. I'm guessing that would be a yes. Not would be a yes, is a yes. Why do people always use the false conditional? And it's I guess, not I'm guessing. Hey, also, it's a statement, not a question. Don't be like one of those girls who says, my name's Irene. No. What? I said no. Get someone else to do you. Someone with better grammar. Listen, I didn't mean to sound like that. Sound like some John will never make it to the bed. Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm right. Sorry that you're right. It's your, Y-O-U apostrophe R-E, not your, Y-O-U-R. How can you even hear the difference between your and the other one? You're impossible. That's correct. This time I heard it with the apostrophe and the E. That's it. I'm out of here. Wait, don't go. You already paid. I'll grab my coat and walk out of the door. Walk out the door. Sorry, I'm lonely. They all say that. Should have thought of that before you insulted me. I need you. Not enough to get your ass together. Act. What? Act together. Ass in gear. A lot of people get that wrong. But not you, huh? What you do all day, correct people? I'm paid for it. You have no idea how much sloppy writing is out there. I provide a service. People need me. I provide a service too. A lot of people need me, and I don't insult them. course, sometimes they want a little correction. Please don't go. Look, I'm down on my knees. That mean you want to do me? I don't know what I want. Yeah, some guys say that too. I want you to stay. I'll make it up to you. You got more money? No, not on me. Then you got half an hour left. Make the most of it. All right, begin at my shoulders, then maybe go lower down. And start that business all over again? Again or over, but not both. Who said you could have both? Maybe I should correct you. Huh, that will be a novelty. I'm guessing that'll be a yes. I thought I told you. What did you tell me? Nothing. Ow! What did you say? I didn't say anything. That's better. Get closer. Oh, what kind of correction is this? The kind that lasts, that leaves a mark. I'm not sure I'm that kind of person. You sure are. I can spot them. Maybe we should talk about this. You asking a question? Because we're done talking. I don't know. You don't know much, do you? Now take off your pants, bend over the chair, and shut up.
Margaret, could you mute yourself there?
Paul, you can mute her too as a host.
I'm supposed to be able to, but it's not letting.
Yeah.
Enroll now. Visit nystateofhealth.ny.gov for healthcare coverage in 2022. Get free help to compare health plans and apply for financial assistance. Visit
I can remove her.
or call today. Best offers for Super Bowl 56.
That might get her attention.
Okay. I don't have current bios from everyone, and I didn't go in to dig out old ones. So our next reader will be Gloria Mindock. Her new collection, Ash, is from Glasslear Press in 2021. It was the winner of the International Impact Book Award, the New York City Big Book Award, and Speak Up Talk Radio Firebird Award, 2021. Honorable mention and the Dragonfly Award in December also. Gloria.
Hey, Paul. I didn't realize I was reading tonight, and so I am not prepared. So I'm just going to listen, but I'm so sorry I goofed, I guess.
You mean I wasted a bio?
Yes, you did.
Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry you guys had to sit through that. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just going to listen tonight.
You know something? I remember now that you told me that when I emailed you.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. But thank you anyway. Next time I will be glad to read.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
You were wonderful. Thank you. Renuka Raghaven. I don't have a bio, but we all know you and you have a new book out, I believe.
Hey, Paul, thank you. Yes, so I'm going to read two itty bitty micros for you guys tonight. The first one is in my upcoming collection by Trevena Barber Press. So this is Rebound. Mike died on Friday, and by Sunday, grief arrived like my period, at the worst time possible. As if that wasn't enough, I could tell he wanted something more, something good. Don't lollygag, he scolded. I've got other places to go. Your kids, for example. He stayed like an unwanted guest, that friend of a friend who was never invited to the barbecue but came over nonetheless. Grief became a fly on my wall, and oh, how he loved to play games. Hide and seek, his favorite, popping up to scare me when I least expected it. God only knows what he'd do to my children, my sweet babies. Here they stand, inserting quarter after quarter into the claw machine. Mama, we're gonna get a new toy. In the end, the kids didn't catch the stuffed Pikachu. Grief snickered and snorted right in front of them. That night, after dinner, Grief lingered as I did the dishes, kids already asleep. Let's have a drink, he said. We clinked our wine glasses and slipped into a silent familiarity. After the third round, we staggered upstairs and shed our skins on the bedroom floor. And because it's winter and I live in Boston, I'm writing all about summer right now. So, fireworks. We decided to hit the food trucks now before the fireworks begin. We don't say anything during the short walk over. The whole neighborhood seizures into life, streamers dangling above us. There are throngs of people everywhere, women and children dressed for the hot summer night, people grilling steaks. We pass under a haze of barbecue smoke to join the food line. Teenage boys with egos too big to fit their juvenile minds throw bottle rockets, cherry bombs, light Roman candles, snappers, and release fiery wheels spinning into the streets. We get our tacos and head back to our picnic blanket on the grassy knoll. All around us, crowds go crazy. People, drunk on beer and patriotism, sway this way and that. We eat in silence, suffering each loud blow around us, a cacophony of chaos, this unabashed orgy of allegiance to life, liberty, and the right to remain unsilent. The purple of twilight is snuffed out by the dark shadow of night. When the fireworks begin bursting, so do I. Unwilling to admit anything important to each other, we continue pretending, too afraid to confess, too afraid to put a label on our unhappiness. I guess you're having one of those days, you say. I cry until my well is dry. The wet of my cheeks shimmers resplendently, red, white, and blue. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Hal Kratz. You're
Hey, guys.
biased, but we know you.
That's okay. So I said I would read this today so that I would force myself to write some new flash. And I made it through Wednesday and I didn't have anything new, but then I woke up at Thursday at 1 in the morning.
Sorry.
That's all right. So I got this at Thursday at 1 in the morning and typed it out. So it's called If I Was a Shitty Stand-Up Comic Joking About Dreams Rather Than a Shitty Writer Writing About Dreams. I don't get why no one likes to hear about other people's dreams, unless it's because most motherfuckers don't know how to tell a good story. It might be a dream, but you still got to structure that shit up. You can't be all, and then. Even my 4-year-old stepson knew that's a bullshit way to tell a story. Didn't stop him from doing it, but at least he'd get a sheep-ass grin on his face when he did it, because even he knew that was some bullshit. I like my dreams. I do. Even when I hate them, I like them. It's messed up. I'm afraid of them, and I should be, but I'm also drawn to them, and I shouldn't be. That's called conflict. Like how I always dream about college, but in my dreams, I'm actually succeeding. The thing is, though, it's still a dream. So you know that success is going to be twisted as fuck. And that's a big scope right there, the big old twisted AF. That includes everything, and I mean everything. This is called being rich in content. The scope here might be poor in morality, but it's definitely rich in content. But that's not why I like dreaming about college. I like how when I dream about it, I'm actually going to class. Yeah, I might be naked, or worse, I might be dressed up like a clown, but at least I'm there. I like how when I dream about college, I know how to talk to girls. See, your brain knows how to tell a dream story. Lots of ways to twist that up, though, and this is no joke. Take age. When I dream about college, I might still be how old I am right now, but everyone else is the age they were then. Or even if I'm the right age, there will be this look on everyone's face, like they know. This dude ain't our age. This must be some twisted dream magic, because this motherfucker old. He don't belong. And there it comes around, back to the truth. All the twisted stuff has to have that little nugget of truth. That motherfucker don't belong. No shit, Sherlock. Somebody get this guy on the dean's list already. But then some twisted stuff is just too true for its own good. I can't deal with it. Screw Sigmund Freud. Or I think it was Freud. I might have been gone that day in Western Civ. Either way, the deal is your brain knows the truth before you do. Either way, your brain's got an unlimited number of lies it can use to tell the truth. And it's not my fault that some twisted stuff feels so goddamn real. Like I'm back at college, and I'm 52, and I've got my own dorm room, and I'm the only one on the floor with my own room. And strangely, I'm the only 52-year-old there. And motherfuckers are walking up and down the floor, making all sorts of crazy ass noises and smells, but it doesn't feel so good. I can't just ignore the smell. I can't just write the scene off to rites of passage or some misconstrued connection to Animal House. It doesn't make me feel like I'm a part of anything, that's for sure. And I'm standing in my room all alone, and I'm looking at that door, and I'm listening to that noise. And then one of those motherfuckers knocks on my door, and I'm holding on to that door. I'm holding on so I can really feel it. I can feel it in my bones, that motherfucker knocking. And I said this was realistic, right? So we all know there's no way in hell I'm opening that door. I'm too afraid, but there's also a part of me that wants to. There's a part of me that needs to open it, but I'm afraid of that too. It's too much. The stories the brain loves to tell. They are no joke. They got me here on purpose. They gave me this story, and now the only thing I can do is wake the hell up and stop telling it to you. I got to get my ass off this stage. Sometimes the only thing you can do in a dream is to drop the mic.
With that, Al, thank you. Karen Chavre is from Vancouver and runs Miramachi. Why did I draw a blank on the rest of it, Karen?
Would drop the rest of the Miramichi Flash.
Thank you. And Vancouver Flash Fiction. And I don't have any more bio for you, but we'll just listen.
That's quite all right. Thanks, Paul. This is a piece from a while back from Fiction Southeast. It's called Impossible Love. The first time he sees her, she is plummeting to the ground, a stream of chiffon and chantilly lace. His heart leaps into his throat as he jumps from his seat, gasping, arms outstretched, ready to catch her fall. The leather harnesses and ropes yank her back up and out of his reach, ricocheting like a bungee cord, depositing her high atop the wooden scaffolding. There she rests, perfectly still, a shimmering blue heron overlooking a mirror lake, letting out the barest of breath, while the audience, aghast, recovers theirs. The act is death-defying, mesmerizing, a tour de force. But for Eduardo, it is another matter altogether, something unimaginable. While risking life and limb, she looked at him, truly looked at him, and she did not avert her gaze. Now, back again, Eduardo takes his seat in the front row along the edge of the rotunda in the Grand Chapiteau. The excitement is palpable, the air hot and electric. Dreamy oboe arpeggios snake and coil through the audience, curling toes, limbering bodies, wiping away the weight of the weary worn. They come from the orchards and the fields, to sway and weave and to be enchanted. Tonight he sits waiting for her to reappear, perchance another encounter. He thinks of little else. The spotlight searches the cavernous room, illuminating heavy brocade drapes, guy wires, and towering king poles. The crowd whoops and claps. The hammering of the cymbalon rings loudly. On cue, she swoops down, her sinewy form undulating and twisting, her elegantly arched back and powerful legs dangling, shimmying. Then in a flurry, she is gone, floating up into the rafters. Each time it is the same. She holds his gaze until she reaches the top. And for that split second, everything is there, everything he has been missing. It is an eternity found. He is beyond happy. He is almost brave. He decides this time he will go to see her. He will wait by her dressing room. He will let her know. He has rehearsed their face-to-face meeting. He worries that up close she will see his scars, the disfigurement, permanent and blue. He fears she will be deterred, that she will turn away. He is all too familiar with eyes that turn away, eyes that are lowered. But her gaze gives him courage. He feels she is different and imagines the moment in their future, the true things one sees when one does not look away. He tells himself that in the end, we only regret the chances we do not take. Eduardo gets up and leaves his seat. He weaves his way through the tiered pews toward the exit and backstage. He will be there waiting for her to arrive after her performance. It is the finale. He has seen her penultimate flight untethered before. Turning to catch a last glimpse of her interminable flare, he wonders if she will notice his empty seat, that he has gone. Next time, he mumbles, pulling on his cap, letting the stage door close behind him. Maybe next time. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jane Martin has a new book coming out also. And I don't know if you're reading from that or.
I
got a plug.
am. And some of you may have heard these before, but the cover is out and the little girl is me when I was about 5 years old. And in the writing of this, I learned a kind of a staggering statistic that 1 in every 3 women identify as fatherless in some way, divorce or death or emotional unavailability. There are a lot of ways, but this one was mine. So I'm going to read the prologue and the first couple of stories. And if you've heard it before, bear with me. Thank you. This one is called Ode to the Lone Sperm. Eager little swimmer, perhaps my competitive nature comes from you. You who didn't get the memo that fertilization was not my father's intent, content as he was to have my mother all to himself. But you failed to notice your brethren's sperm treading water, not even trying to tell you to ease up, little fella. This guy's just going through the motions to win the race, a child growing in the shadow of his withholding, a child always wondering why. This one is called First Love, and it was actually a story first told to me by my grandmother, who had no particular love for my father. The baby sticks her chubby little arm through the bars of the playpen and squeals, "Look at me." The father's eyes stay intent on the television. The baby hoists herself up on tiptoes for the first time. Surprised and delighted with this new skill, she giggles, squeals louder, clinging to the bars. "Look at me." The father gives her only a brief glance. The baby reaches out with both arms, but as soon as she does, she loses her balance and falls on her behind. She howls, her cheeks crimson, awash in tears. The father turns up the sound on the television until it drowns out her cries. This one is called Pinball. The child falls asleep to the foghorns of San Francisco, awakens to rain on the rooftop in Portland, snow on the ground in Bozeman, the high desert heat of Carson City, a pinball bouncing from paddle to paddle at the hands of others. The landscapes blur as the train, the bus, the car rolls by, glimpses of homes and families that are never her own, as her mother attempts another reconciliation with her wandering father. Alone in one more strange bed, the baby doll she has named after herself held tightly to her chest, she calls out, "Mommy?" Her bare feet pat their way along the wooden floor, down a hallway to a closed door. She stretches upward to the doorknob. Its cold steel fills her tiny palm. A turn, and the door creaks open into a narrow, dimly lit room. Against the wall, to her left, is a single metal framed bed where her father lies facing away, her mother's arms wrapped tightly around his bare shoulders. He looks down at her, then back at her mother. "Get her out of here," he says. Tilt. The last one I'll read is called "And Then He Is Gone." When Daddy leaves us for the last time, he wears a blue pinstripe suit with a freshly pressed handkerchief in his chest pocket, a fedora hat, and black Oxfords that shine like new pennies. Tall, oh so handsome, he looks just like one of those movie stars that smile out from the covers of magazine Mommy keeps on her vanity. My small hands press against the window. I draw a heart with my finger in the circle of my breath as I watch him carry his suitcase across the busy street, growing smaller with each step he takes away from us. The bell of a cable car rings out as it passes by, and then he is gone, never having turned, never seen me still waving long after he disappears. My heart melts and slides down the glass. For weeks after that, I still ask, when is Daddy coming home? He had left us before, left and came back, left and came back. Upon each return, I would run into his arms, his embrace short and stiff, but enough for me to breathe in his scent, cloves and pine, capturing it in my memory like a firefly in a mason jar. "You knew he wasn't a family man when you married him," my grandmother says to my mother, but she is looking at me. And though I don't know what family man means, I see Mommy turn her head to hide her tears. "When Daddy comes back, I'll be such a good girl, I say." My tummy starts to hurt, and I crawl into Daddy's chair, my bare legs sticking to the leather, my tiny bottom trying to fill the space left by his, and wonder what I could have done to make him stay. Thank you. I'm going to put a link to my website in there because it is available for pre-order. So if you are a fatherless daughter or you know one, it might be for you. Thank you.
Cindy Rasmus, straight from the pages of Yellow Mama, will read to us next.
Thanks, Paul. In this next issue, the Valentine's Day issue, number 90, it's our 15th anniversary issue. So I'm reading a Valentine's Day story for you guys. I'm even wearing red for you. It's called Guns and Mistletoe. Well, it's V-Day. After months of trying, Lou was back with his wife. Red cardboard hearts I'm hanging all over scratches. Beneath the neon beer signs on windows, on the new mirror behind the register. Right across from the Desert Eagle 44, Lou's so lovesick, I bet he forgot it's there and not how to use it. It's thanks to me they're back together, though I didn't do much. On Christmas Eve day, Wifey invited Lou over for lunch. What the fuck, he asked as I sliced limes. What does she want? I shrugged. Oh, find out. He reached for the Jack Honey, then changed his mind. A buy her something like nice? Lou, nice meant perfume from the dollar store. Asked me, a chick asking you to Christmas Eve lunch meant she was either dumping you or loved you. She'd already dumped him. His phone pinged. She's canceling, he said, without checking the text. Sure? He checked his phone. Junior. It's on time for a change. He's coming in. I tried not to laugh. Christmas Eve, he said, slowly pulling on his jacket. Lou'd seen shit most people just watched on TV. Maybe worse. That gun under the bar was loaded, usually. Don't ask how I knew. Till now, I'd never seen him scared. What the fuck, he said on his way out. Does she want? Fucking liar, I told Junior when he strolled in, on time. Late, I mean. Had to get rid of him, he smirked. Mom wants him for lunch. He'd blown his hair dry instead of letting those curls run free. His sweater was nice and tight. Late lunch. Yep. Thanksgiving Eve, we'd fucked in the ladies' room after closing. Junior was hot for round 2. I was cooler than his other chicks. We hadn't even kissed. In a half-assed way, we welcomed Christmas. A fake tree near the pool table people backed into each time they took a shot. Mistletoe, who knows where, as I was trashed when I hung it. Red and green Jell-O shots I'd made for later. So far, the place was dead. Snake had stopped in for a humbug mood. Then a few bikers. Now some drunk guy in full Santa gear playing Jingle Bell Rock on the jukebox. Ho, 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 he said with each fresh drink. Junior eyed Santa, then the ladies' room door. Come on, Shell, he said, before it gets crowded. From outside came loud female voices. Shit, Junior turned away. The voices got louder. It was deja vu, all right. Without seeing them, I knew these chicks were trouble. Lightning, I realized, as they came in, would strike twice. It was them. A tiny chick and her huge Madonna-haired lover. They were dressed for the holidays. Big Madonna in a red sequin pantsuit with matching bag. Her bulb earrings flashed on and off like Christmas lights. The tiny ones get up topped even that. A red and green tunic with striped leggings like you'd only find in Oz. Her elf's cap had bells and pointy ears. But this was no whistle while you work elf. Her round face looked as mean as the day she'd held up Lou and me with that Barbie gun 2 years back. Then Big Madonna heaved her into the ceiling fan, but she lived. On their way to jail, they'd made up. Joan, I said when they sat down. Junior was doing Jell-O shots with Santa. Lou, I thought, I gotta tell Lou, except Mom's having him for lunch. The chicks weren't speaking. Case in the joint, I wondered. Finally, the elf beckoned me over. Mistletoe cocktail. A what? Annoyed, she counted on her fingers. Vodka, cranberry, honey. No honey, I said, but she kept going. Mint. Like this was the Kentucky Derby and mint juleps were flying. Then ginger beer. Ginger ale, Big Madonna said. I like that better. Fuck you, the elf said. Now you don't get one. I'll drink 2 mistletoe cocktails, but you won't get any. But Madonna was tearing up. It's Christmas. Yeah, the elf smiled. Well, I hate Christmas. That huge fist could have smashed my face. Expertly, the elf blocked it. But that's when we met, Big Madonna wailed. It's our anniversary tomorrow. She gasped out between sobs. I thought I was getting a ring. Fat chance, the mean elf said. Big Madonna got up. She shook him. You're making that drink, the elf asked me. Junior, I yelled as the scorn lover ran over to Santa. That nasty bitch said. She shook him, knocking his cap off. She hates Christmas. Good. Santa tried pulling away. So do I. Junior laughed drunkenly. that strange deja vu feeling again, recalling the time this elf-like chick pulled a quote toy gun. Open the register, she said now. Give me all the money. This gun was bigger. Out of that sequin purse it must have come. With both hands, she pointed the gun at me, then at Junior. At first, he and Santa were too trashed to catch on. And laughing nervously, Santa put his cap back on. Man, Junior said, I should have peed. My guts felt like those Jello shots. The money, the elf told Junior. I want all of it. But it's Christmas, Santa said. Not yet. Junior inched along behind the bar. Whether he'd open the register or grab Lou's gun, I wasn't sure. You hate Christmas? Big Madonna told the elf. I bet you hate me too. Shut up, the elf told her. From behind her, Big Madonna said, well, now I hate you. Like a grizzly bear, she overpowered her. As they went down, a bar stool snapped and their legs went flying. The gun went off, shattering the mirror behind the register. Glass was everywhere. Junior had sobered up fast. Lou's 44 was out and ready. No cops, he said. Just get out. For a few moments, Big Madonna just stared. She picked up the elf like a broken doll. Get off of me, the elf shoved her away, shook out her legs before bending and retrieving the gun. Now, Junior sounded just like Lou. The elf slipped the gun back into the purse, and she and Big Madonna hurried out the door. Me too, Santa said. You were never here, Junior said. Behind the bar were chunks of broken mirror between liquor bottles on the floor. Glass was stuck to our clothes. Somewhere back there was a spent casing we'd have to find. A big mess to clean up. Better than picking bullets out of each other. Not till I'd found the broom and dustpan did he put the 44 away. We both smiled. You knew what was coming. And Junior locked the door as Lou's text came through. Kind of slow for Christmas Eve, Junior said when he saw it. That's what I'll say. But for a while we were busy. He got really close, right? Maybe. I remembered now. On that mirror that shattered, I'd hung mistletoe, now lost among shards of glass on the floor, crunching beneath our feet, squashed with our first hot kiss. Thank you.
Cindy, thank you. And thank Big Madonna for me.
I will.
Andrea Marcusa, you're up. But you'll have to unmute if you want to.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'm going to read 3 micros today. And they're brand new. So I don't know. I mean, I think they're okay, but we'll see. All right. The first one is called Arise. Out on my balcony, overlooking the 16th, the Eiffel Tower rises like a brilliant spire. It stands above the glittering city, thousands of windows lit with expectation. My cat jumps onto the terrace ledge and surveys the scene like a nobleman. I envy his ignorance, his only aim a full stomach, long lazy stretch, and a warm lap. I unfold, push up with my cane, and slowly wend my way between the table and chairs to where he sits. I stroke his fur and look over the slate rooftops and chimneys and down at the streets. From my high perch, the city appears dressed up, basking there in the evening's finest, ready for celebration. Oh, how I remember those nights, strolling across Pont Neuf, bateau mouches gliding beneath me on the shimmering Seine, or sitting outdoors at La Petite in the Fifth, to have one more night of this city's gaiety, to raise my glass with the throng, watch the bubbles in my flute rise to the top and burst in the city's glow. Oh, to ignore the frailness of my heart, my unsteady gait. Let me bathe in the city's beauty, revel in its amber light. For tomorrow, the dark hood may drop down upon me. Let me feel once again the magic, float on a fleeting memory of an earlier time when my life unfolded like a rose. The next piece is called The Tummy Bridge. In future years, she always called it the Tummy Bridge. And when she did, people would look at her curiously, conjuring up images of bridges shaped like stomachs, or thinking tummy was an engineering term they'd never heard of. When she learned this, she'd laugh. But right now, it's just an old wooden country bridge spanning railroad tracks. It has a steep upward slope that causes her car to leap up when she zips over the bridge too fast, and then her stomach to lurch forward in the air. Her children, Dan and Mike, love the bridge, and when she calls out, "Here comes the tummy bridge," they wait in anticipation, holding their stomachs, then break out into gales of laughter. Her husband, who is in the passenger seat beside her, reaches her hand across the gears onto her knee and travels up her thigh, not stopping until she swats him away and whispers, "Later." This is before wildfires destroy the bridge and nearby barns and clapboard houses with old-fashioned front porches and baskets of hanging geraniums. Before fires scorch fields that sprout small, succulent red tomatoes, rows of sweet corn and organic greens. Before the charred plots are divided and sold off into small lots and rebuilt with modern homes, sporting cedar chip yards and asphalt driveways. Before the chaotic beating of her husband's heart and the arrival of a pale green box filled with morning, noon, and evening pills to keep him alive, and physicians who threaded probes up a vein in his thigh to his heart, not once but 5 separate times to repair it. And she wonders if she should have noticed some weakness years ago on nights when she woke and held her head to his chest just to hear his heart's reassuring thump, thump, thump. Was there something she could have noticed? But that is all years away. Right now, the smell of summer fills the air. The motor shifts gears as it starts up the hill, and the boys in the back seat are chanting, "Tummy bridge, tummy bridge," under a wide blue summer sky, and fields of corn sway in the breeze. Baskets of pink geraniums swing, and they are young. Okay, and the last one is called Sea Nymphs. They had promised I could swim with them, my 4 older sisters and me. I was barely a woman, still flat-chested and unsure, while they displayed their rounded breasts and long tresses with aplomb. They swam for several hours until arriving at a spot near the high cliffs of Punta Campanella. My sisters merrily, their voices blending perfectly. Each time a song finished, I thought we'd move on, explore, play a game, but they simply began another. After the 5th song, I joined in, pretending to know the notes and rhythm. "Shh, you're off key," they hissed. "You'll ruin it." I floated there, mouth clamped shut, their sterling notes hitting me like stones. Time stalled. My sisters seemed content out on the waves, singing their lungs out. I wished I'd never followed them and was back in our cove where I was free to splash and frolic with the fish. I decided to turn back, even if I wasn't sure of the route. As I pushed away, my sister Pesanawi caught up to me, grabbed my hand, and held me beside her until a giant ship neared. She kept me watching, listening, staring while it crashed on the rocks, the sailors wailing, flailing, the lucky ones clinging to splintering boards. We stayed our distance and watched as the tides and winds sent the men further and further away from us. All the while, my sisters sang, delight on their faces, taking pleasure in another's horror, their silver notes skimming the water like wind. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrea. Ron Colm.
Can you hear me okay?
You bet.
Okay, basically, I've been writing these pieces about bookstores. This is from back in the day. It's called Ugly George. Back in the day when cable TV was brand new, there was a guy with a show who called himself Ugly George. And it's true, he wasn't very attractive. He had a sweaty tangle of black stringy hair, a squirrely look, and his portable camera was a battered piece of crap, all wrapped in tape. Anyway, Ugly George would cruise the city looking for attractive women. His territory was the back streets where there wasn't a lot of foot traffic to contend with. When he found one, he'd approach her and ask if she would remove her top and show him, and by extension, his audience, her tits. Most said no, but every now and again he got lucky. I thought he was a slimy, sexist pig, and I detested him. One day he wandered into Coliseum Books, the store I was working in at the time, and he approached one of the cashiers in the front of the store. I lost it. I rolled up my t-shirt and walked briskly up to him. Hey, you big piece of shit, what do you think of these? I snarled, shaking my bare chest. Don't do this to me, he cried, turning and fleeing the store. I chased him up Broadway, rubbing my nipples. I can't tell you how good the cool air felt on them. And actually, Postman Books in Chelsea Market still sells Ugly George postcards. They still exist. The pandemic hit, and I got laid off from my job in Chelsea Market. And this is a piece of fiction that happened after that. It's a subway story. I had to take the subway into Manhattan to cash my unemployment check. And I was very careful to sit in the front car and avoid the few other riders on the train. The pandemic had hit hard, and I was wearing a mask and trying not to touch anything. After leaving the bank, I walked back to Union Square and headed up to the north end of the platform, breathing a sigh of relief when I got there. Time goes by and no train appears. I look over to my left and see a woman, maybe late 50s, toss her bag and her mask onto the tracks and climb down after them. Hey, what's up? I shout through my mask. She moans and says this is how she's going to get home. She's tired of everything. She edges over towards the third rail and I unleash my best zinger. Do you believe in any kind of God? Because if you do, you got to know how pissed off he or she's going to be if you touch that thing. Unfortunately, my back is so messed up that I knew I couldn't get down on the tracks to help her. A young guy hops onto the tracks, picks the lady up, depositing her on the platform. He gives her his mask and waits for the police, who do show up rather quickly. My train finally appears and I go home, amazed at how the universe works. Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Ron, thank you, as always. Bill Merkley, you're up.
I didn't know I was on the list, Paul.
It's up to you. I have your name on my, but
Somebody must have slipped it to you.
Come on, Bill.
All right, okay. This is something I've been working on the novella in Flash, so this is part of that. It's like Anne said, I hoped it's baked. It's called Threshold. Henry answered his door down on one knee. I can barely breathe, he said. I helped him get to the sofa. We're going to the hospital, I said. It's 5 minutes away. No, I need to go where my doctors are, in Westchester. My brother and his wife are flying in today. They'll take me. You need to go now. I can't go looking like this. Really? I'll get your shoes. I called my wife to let her know what was up. I put Henry's meds, his wallet, and a small brown address book into his fanny pack. With his left arm across my shoulder, I got him to shuffle to my car. I strapped him in like he was a limp toddler. The ride to Westchester takes about an hour, up the Palisades to 9W and the Tappan Zee. It seemed like Henry felt obligated to make conversation, even though he looked like he could barely stay awake. But he could still talk my ear off, just not with his usual verve. Last Friday, I met a friend who came in for the Gay Olympics. He was staying in Midtown, so we went into the village. The city was just crawling with faggots and dykes. When we got to Christopher Street, forget it. They were all over the place. They should have just blocked off the street, and that was only Friday. So there I am walking around Christopher Street wearing an oversized t-shirt, loose-fitting, very lightweight sweatpants. I only saw 2 other people who looked sick. One of them was in total denial. The uniform this summer seems to be tank tops or no shirts, those knee-length khaki shorts, kind of preppy looking, and those Sinead O'Connor black work boots all laced up. He was dressed like that, but he looked ludicrous because his legs were pencil thin, thinner than mine. He had on a tank top and his bones were popping out everywhere. How do you leave the house like that? The other guy I saw was thin, had on a hat and a long sleeve shirt and long pants, but I could tell he was sick by how gaunt he was. Either that or he was anorexic. Other than those 2, everyone looked healthy. I'm certain at least a third were infected, but there's a difference between being infected and being sick. When I got home, I was so depressed. Being in that crowd, in that energy, I mean, I didn't go and fuck 5 guys behind the bushes or get dates for the next 5 nights, but I did like the interplay, the flirtation, checking people out and knowing they were checking others out. But I felt like such an eyesore. My friend said, I don't think you look as bad as all that. I told him it was all the foundation. This is going to sound bigoted because he's Korean, but I told him Korean gays think all white men are gorgeous, just like all straight men think all Japanese women are exotic. Like all Latin men I know wanted a blonde. It didn't matter what they looked like under the hair, as long as it was blonde. So yes, I'm depressed about the way I look, more depressed that I don't have any control over it. He went silent then, and I thought it might be bad for him to go to sleep. I got him to talk about high school, how the drunk assholes were still drunk assholes at the 10-year reunion, the women who looked like they'd worked out for years just for that one night, how everyone we suspected of being gay really were, and the ones who surprised us. Certain football players, he said. Yeah, and the hunky TV actor. That got a smile out of him. I pulled up to the emergency entrance. Henry could barely stand, so I picked him up and carried him through the sliding doors. An orderly rushed over with a wheelchair. Henry was still able to give them his information. We were taken to a room where he could be on a bed. Saline bags were hung to rehydrate him. Someone rolled in a more comfortable chair for me, asked if they could get me anything, asked if I needed to use the phone. I noticed the staff looking at me from the nurse's station. Then my heart swelled when I realized who they thought I was. I said nothing. That's it.
Bill, I look forward to hearing more. Patricia Bedard.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Bill. That was just catching my breath after hearing that. It was very moving. My story is transgressive. It breaks a taboo, and no one will publish it. And but somebody will sometime soon. I think. It's called The Ghost of Charles Bukowski Pines for His Job at the Mails. The ghost of Charles Hank Bukowski rests in his lawn chair. Death has done wonders for his cratered face. His phantom eyes are clear. His diarrhea and bellyache gone. His ratty boudoir is upstairs with its view of the industrial harbor. Now it's made over as a baby's bedroom. Hank has no wish to rattle the mother and child inside. Are they soothed as he had always been when the foghorns blow in the night's mist? He doesn't miss drinking, doesn't miss writing, or the women. Their flopped open purses and chipped toenail polish, their loud laughter, the sad parties. Instead, he yearns for a working man's pleasures, a neighboring family to hate,
a porterhouse bleeding on the counter, watching the fat kid from next door heave the push mower east to west. Hank scratches his ghostly balls and relaxes into the worker's fantasia, a sweating pitcher of lemonade that he and the boy could share. He longs, in fact, for his old job at the post office, the mails, a time clock to cheat, a busted up Wilmington sidewalk, frenzied dogs behind cyclone fences, the throbbing feet. Inside, the rolling stool, the bank of letterboxes, the dragging clock, his jackass supervisor. Something to rail against. Hank, Buke. Charles is the name from his pay stub. In his mail sorter days, he kept an apartment on Angel's Flight. He emulated the writer John Fonte, the way callow youngsters emulate Hank today. His acolytes leave bottles of rum at his grave. Hero Hank, the hard-drinking artist who checked the security of a government job. The ghost of Charles Bukowski doesn't miss freezing his balls off delivering mail, or feeling like dog shit in his morning bed, or those idiot followers knocking on his door. He dreams, when he dreams, of those letters in his hands, a knife straight part in his hair, a friendly barber with a stack of girly magazines, his view of Terminal Island, Fonte had once called it home, across the harbor, halfway to the port of Long Beach. The ghost of Charles Bukowski rises weightless from his lawn chair. He hopes the neighbors don't complain about the shaggy lawn. The bell might wake the baby upstairs, rouse a tired mama. His gravestone admonishes, don't try, but it features the image of a boxer, dukes up. That's it.
Thank you. Francine?
Yes, hi. Okay, so I'm going to read two pieces. This first one is called Woman, Bird. Woman walks the bird she caught one day in a weeping tree. The bird now tied to a string above her, not 5 feet long, just long enough to skim the sky. Her pet, she tells her friends, but really, she wants the bird to catch the dreams she had that flew away. Bring them to me, the woman says. You are lucky, she tells the bird. You have the gift of flight. If it were me, I'd bathe myself all day in the gauze of clouds, fill the air with stretch and song so loud, no one would forget I was here. Bird walks the woman he caught one day as he waited in a willow tree, keeps her on a string below him, not 5 feet long, tells his bird friends she is his human, but really he is safe now from the scavenge of vultures, the zigzag of lightning on a summer night. The bird is held by the gravity of flight, always having to skitter away at the slightest sound, the clouds not strong enough to rest on. You are lucky, he wants to tell the woman. You have the gift of land. If I had the pull of earth wanting to keep me, the heft of a foot big enough to leave a print, a hollow, I'd bathe all day in the swim of mud, push dirt together enough to start a mountain so high no one would forget I was here. Thank you. And the second one, this is a piece that was, David Golliff was nice enough to publish this in Vestal Review. And I also want to thank my monster friends here for listening to an early draft and helping me wrangle the ending of this. Okay, this is called Eve to Me. It's crowded at the CVS, plink of toothbrushes dropping into baskets, Phil Collins music in the air. There's a bank of scanner machines at the checkout. They stopped letting humans do that here. I am waiting in line when out of nowhere, Eve shows up. Eve from the Bible, Eve from the slithery snake. I have a box of hair dye for my graying roots, hot pink polish for my nails. I'm trying new things since I found my husband's second phone in the bottom of his gym bag. A woman ahead of me is yelling at one of the scanners, calling it a stupid, useless turd, and can she please speak to the manager? Eve is fig leaf and no makeup, and she pulls me aside and says, look, I don't have choices, but you do. For me, there were no other fish. And if we did have Tinder, it would have been Adam, Adam, and more Adam. Eve tries to look at the scanners. She doesn't seem very interested in the woman. I'm sorry. Eve stops to look at the scanners. She doesn't seem very interested in the woman who is now pounding a fist on the screen that seems cool and unresponsive, as if she's not even there. Instead, Eve asks me what happened to the registers, the one with the receipts that used to curl out of them long and sinuous. My husband doesn't look at me anymore. I don't look at me anymore. When I tell this to Eve, she says, no one looks at anyone anymore. Not really. Too many of us, and not at all what was intended. Humans just doubled and tripled and grew like a virus that not even another virus can kill off. I asked her what made her listen to a snake of all things. A snake is not like a husband that wraps itself around you like you are a tree, squeezes the very breath out of you, changes the color of your hair and your nails. I asked her what Adam was doing all the time while she was in the garden. And I suggest she might have been not talking to a snake if Adam might have noticed her once in a while. The scanner woman is being escorted out by security, the manager pointing the way, telling the woman never to return. Eve looks troubled, as if she's been triggered by the throwing outness of all this. She says, look, I gotta go. Good luck with your husband. I move up to the scanner now. I wave the box of hair dye over the sensor, its red eye blinking. I look at the screen to make sure it, sees me, some little sign that I exist, that I'm not just standing in a line of women all through history who felt invisible, a line that stretches all the way from Eve to me, stacked one behind the other, each one wearing a touch more eyeliner, a shade deeper of lipstick than the one that came before. Thank you.
Thank you, Franny.
Thank you.
Juan Mobile, you're up.
Very well. So thank you, Paul. It's great to see many of you who I met before. For those of you who don't know me, just a couple of facts. One is my slight New England accent is from Buenos Aires, Argentina, which is south of Boston. And the other thing I wanted to say is the 3 poems I'll read today are from my book, Contraband, which is coming out in April. And I'll put a link to the pre-sale when I'm done, in case you want to read more about it. Okay, so the first poem is the title poem, Contraband. I come from a place where everything was banned. Whatever was made of red and billowed, and the words that could inspire solidarity. What was prohibited included songs, the length of hair, skirts, and sorrows, the extent to which a body may love another body, visiting countries more welcoming than ours, the study of psychology if Freud and Jung were taught, protesting injustice or high prices in the streets, and mothers walking silently in circles, hoping their daughters and their sons would be returned. When you live in places where a deep breath may someday be outlawed, learning to hide what you might think is an imperative. You become savvy about carrying suitcases with false bottoms and paying attention to moon cycles before you load the truck for the night drive over the mountain. You must learn to master all sorts of contraband. Neatly folded newspaper you leave between you and the stranger sitting on the same bench of a certain park, or memorize a password that signals it is safe to shake hands. You learn to master contraband, but nothing will be sadder than a secret you cannot shout. Thank you. Thank you.
Juan.
Couple more, yeah.
Let's see how we like the next one. And we'll
All right, so one more. This is called What Wakes Me Up When It's This Dark. What wakes me up when it's dark? My bladder or my soul? The thought that cruelty may lie inside the heart next to devotion. The nagging realization that the world my sons inherited will need more repairing than the one my father left me. The counting of dear friends who left us or chose some form of silence to stay among us. Wondering if birds would remain flying if they thought at the same time that they could fly. Considering the irony of traveling far from what was evil and stumbling into its familiar face exactly where I live. The mane of a dictator dyed in colors that don't exist in nature. What lies beneath the mane, the creature itself. My soul more than my bladder. My sons more than my soul. My wife breathing next to me. My wife next to me, her breath. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. Hello, Paul. Brad Rose.
Thanks, Paul. Man, this is a really great group. I'm a little afraid to read anything in front of these folks.
Sure.
The first one I'm going to read some prose poems. These are one paragraph each. First one's called Tropical Depression. All week I've been trying to replace the atoms in my brain. Well, actually just in the prefrontal cortex. I don't want my brain waves to interfere with approaching aircraft. Eventually I'd like to optimize my energy efficiency too, go the whole 8 yards. But until then, I'm going to try to reverse my reverse mortgage. Ever since I got that damn thing, it's been trying to kill my houseplants, but they're strong. They've only passed out a couple of times. I don't know about you, but I think we need some new planets, ones with better shapes and weather. I'm going to speak to the concierge first thing in the morning. Have you noticed how the night crawls up into the trees to get a better look at the stars? I guess it's a multidimensional universe after all. Astrophysicists say it's more fun that way, but they always have some trick up their sleeves. Of course, you've got to love the rain, don't you? I love the rain, even if it's artificial. Those transparent acoustics are really something. As a matter of fact, they're unheard of. And I love how the floodwaters follow the invisible slope of gravity toward the silent center of the earth. Don't get me wrong, I like fish too, as long as they stay in the background where they belong. Nick, my bloodthirsty barber, says I would have a great personality if I didn't cry every 8 hours a day. When I tell him it's probably just slow-moving tropical depression, he lifts his eye patch, grabs his straight razor and says, "Sure thing, matey. Would you like me to take a little more off the top?" Retraining. I'm faithful. I go where my GPS tells me. The billionaires warn we must learn to make sacrifices, so everyone will now have to become a millionaire. Everyone is retraining. I have a positive attitude. Whenever I dream, I expect to wake up. In the morning, the light is bright like a good student. My feet are where I left them. Am I happy? Some bicycles have no wheels. I wish I had wings. I wish I was traveling to heaven. I wish I was going faster. Maybe everyone gets the fate they deserve. There are 44 murders a day in the US and roughly 500 million to $1.5 billion collected each year in ransom money. God is known to have a sense of humor, but sometimes it's hard to tell when he's joking. New clients. Just to be on the safe side, God prays to himself. That way, everybody's a winner. Of course, even with the safest surgery, there can be unexpected complications. It's hard to tell if it's due to organized crime or organized religion. Sometimes I'm on a different frequency spectrum. Like ants at a picnic, I'm all over the place. Yesterday, I was innocently piloting my new drone above the neighbor's backyard. I just wanted to give it a quick once over, and wouldn't you know it, the twins were lounging naked again, except for their sidearms. Sure enough, there was some inadvertent gunfire. So I said to Psycho Kitty, my assistant and lucky charm, have you noticed how lately the suburbs have become such a concrete jungle? Kitty snarled, I don't think the twins are a gang, Terry. They look more like a cult. The average person gets only so many winning lottery tickets in a lifetime. Today, I'm feeling lucky as a bulldozer in a china shop. Do you suppose God's accountant is accepting new clients? One reason for the French Revolution. The Miami real estate market is so hot, it's melting the North Pole. Naturally, you can't tell who's innocent, who's guilty by just looking at a courthouse. My doctor says I'm not taking enough drugs, but I told him in a flight simulator, a bird doesn't need any wings. Luckily, after my last bank job, I had enough money left over to have my fortune read by Madame Pomade. She took one look at my greasy lifeline and said, if I eat my spumoni upside down, it won't have any calories. Hey, it's Paris Fashion Week again. Yeah, I know what you mean. Don't you just love the Emperor's new outfit? I'm telling you, that guy dresses sharper than a guillotine. Some people say he's not wearing much, but in my opinion, he's always dressed to kill. Do I have time for two short ones? Yesterday, I was talking to myself. This is called Genius Lessons. Yesterday, I was talking to myself and having quite pleasant electrostatic sensations. I always like to make a good first impression. I especially like processing information about information processing. It's easier that way. Whenever I grow tired of my experience, I reimagine my skeleton the way a butcher dreams of missing fingers. Naturally, there's only so much you can accomplish in 24 hours. Since the freak accident at the power plant, my receptor synapses have been firing faster than ever, although it's probably better for the both of us that you don't stand too close to me. Of course, you never know when you've prophesized enough self-fulfilling prophecies to become smarter than yourself. So I've been taking weekly half-hour genius lessons. I'm a quick study. As you can see, lightning has already taught me everything I need to know about electrocutions. The last one is called Long Black Car. This time of year, the words on everyone's lips are, no, no, not now. Speaking of the dead, they come from a long, venerable line. But who's counting? Not even the mathematicians. A similar method is used in slaughterhouses. I'll spare you the details. My advice to you, stay focused. One size fits all. Although many quantum theorists say that we should abandon any notion of cause and effect, nothing succeeds like success. Discreetly, I whisper to Mr. Ruby, pull up the hearse. And wouldn't you know it, just like that. Thanks.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks, Paul.
Pat Ferran. You're up.
Thanks, Paul. Dolly Parton's birthday. Legit. I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to read a story I wrote a year or so ago that was possibly more or less inspired by her. Thank you, my monster friends that are here tonight, for being there in the beginning of this. The story is called Mutuals. On a Zoom call, Dolly Parton and I were talking about a mutual friend. We wondered how he was doing since the three of us met back when I was mostly somnambulant and Dolly was mostly singing about coming and going, coming and going. Dolly Parton and I, there's mutual respect between us, I think, because of the way our mutual friend has grown since Dolly found him writing messages in the sky with his finger. I'm talking to the sky, he'd said to her. I'm telling the world, telling it goodbye. His words scared Dolly at first, scared her because of course they did, which is why she said to me as I was passing by that day, the day we met, would you mind helping me for a minute? Okay, I said, okay. I could see right then and there how genuine Dolly is, how kind. I knew she would be if ever I met her. And there she was as I was coming and going. There she was, genuine and kind. Telling the sky what now? Dolly said to our soon-to-be mutual friend. Are you leaving? If so, where to? If so, when? Leaving someday, he said, with the index finger on his right hand, in case I have to leave in a hurry. I'm trying to be polite while I'm still here, he said. I'm saying goodbye while I still can. Dolly got what he was saying right away, maybe because she sings about coming and going in that way she has. I get it, she said to him. I get what you mean. It took me a little longer, me with my sleepiness, me with my wistfulness, to get what he was saying with that right index finger of his. And I don't know if I helped Dolly any, but I trusted her like I've never trusted anyone maybe. You can see how genuine she is and how kind. So I trusted him, our new mutual friend. What Dolly said, I said to him. Now, the three of us have the makings of a mutual understanding about coming and going and about leaving, about telling, about trust. I'm proud of him, our mutual friend, Dolly was saying on the Zoom call, how he has grown. Yes, he has, I said. I'm proud of him too, because he had grown. Since we'd met, the three of us, he'd gone from talking with his finger to talking with his eyes, to talking with his hurting heart, scar tissue and all. Goodbye, his heart now says. Goodbye. He says it sometimes, but not all the time. Like Dolly says, every moment is a goodbye, and sometimes it's better to let the moment speak for itself. Dolly taught him that. I taught him how to shoot free throws. Dolly thought I was kidding when I told her this, but she got it, the way she gets everything. I really wanted to tell her on the Zoom call about a moment that probably had spoken for itself, but it was a moment I knew she'd missed. Before COVID, we were in my driveway, our mutual friend and me, shooting free throws. He was shooting, I was rebounding. Sluggish and sleepy, like always, but I was rebounding, I told Dolly. Free throw shooting is like shaving. It's like ironing. It's about the routine, the repetition, I said. The peace in it. Yes, I get it, zooming Dolly said. While he was shooting and I was rebounding, you were singing on the radio, Dolly, I said. It was a song of yours I hadn't heard. The one about mutual funds not being mutual? Ha, Dolly said, that one. Yes, that remarkable song, I said. I didn't tell her what the song said to our mutual and me that day, what the sky said, what I thought the moment said. I wanted to tell her, she is my friend and I trust her, but I didn't know how. While Dolly was singing about mutual funds, singing like the beautiful songbird she is, the sky was talking with its heart about a world spinning and a world not spinning. Talking a time by and a time to say hello. Time to hold someone's hand. Hold it so they can't feel you holding it, but they can feel something, and you can feel it too. Hold it like a baby songbird nudged in its sleep from a nest. Hold it like a hello. caress it like a goodbye, the kind you'd say to a peaceful sky with your heart, even if your heart had lost its voice, lost it from all the telling, all the coming and going, all the trusting. Your heart relearning to talk, returning to leave. Sorry, relearning to leave, relearning to fall. Yes, that remarkable song, I said again to Dolly, because it was the only thing somnambulant me knew how to say. Thank you so much for saying, friend, Dolly said. I wonder how our mutual is doing. I wonder too, I said with my heart, feeling the tug of scar tissue with every word, the way each tumbled, how each one fell, perhaps from the sky. Hello, Dolly, I said. Hello. Ha, and yes, said Dolly, her words riddling across the screen like a rebound in reverse. By Jove, and by the tender light of this articulate moment, I think you've got it. Thank you.
Terrific, Pat. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
You know what? This is, we have an incredible group that comes monthly and reads, and sometimes it's some of you and sometimes it's different people, but I just feel really fortunate to get to listen to all of you. And thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Just thanks for hosting it, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Paul. This
Paul.
was great.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
We always love being here.
Thanks, Paul.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Paul.
Thank you,
Oh,
Paul.
and,
Everyone.
and Paul,
Yeah.
Meg got your thing. She just messaged me.
I was just going to ask you.
Yeah, no, Meg she just messaged me and she says, yeah, I got Paul's email, so you're good. We'll see you all in Best Microfiction, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all. I'm going to have a new collection come out.
Ooh.
Our friend Gloria Mindaki is going to publish it,
Nice.
Great.
and I'm
Yeah.
very excited about that.
Very nice.
And it's all going to be about my Mirsky character. So
Ooh. Yeah.
Can you read us a story? from?
Congrats, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Read us the
actually in
story.
prepared. I haven't written anything yet.
Ah, hey.
Yeah.
What?
Mirsky's awesome.
No, I actually I would have to go through my computer to find something. But thank you for asking.
Darn it,
And next time.
Next time.
I'll
for
actually put
sure.
that down.
We'll hold you to it.
Yes, we'll hold you to it for sure.
And I'd appreciate that too. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
You guys are just amazing readers and writers. It's terrific. My dog, that's the time she usually gets her treats, and she'll wait a couple of minutes and then she'll bark. So it wasn't a comment on whoever was reading. It was a comment on my putting her off. So
Yeah.
anyway, have a good weekend. Except for Gloria, I hope it doesn't snow because she likes it.
Yeah, she likes the snow, right?
Did I miss anybody? Everybody? Caprice, you're here. I don't know if you want to read.
Oh, no, thanks, Paul. Everybody was wonderful. I loved being in the audience. Thanks so much.
Okay, well, you're always welcome.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
And thank you guys, and good night.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Paul.
Paul.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night, all. Thank you.